Bonjour mes amis, hi guys. Swatch Group's Longines and independent house Oris, two historically rich Swiss watchmakers, have seen great success in recent years with reissues of their 60s divers. Let's compare those reasonably priced retro divers. First, the Longines Legend Diver. Launched in 2007 as part of the Heritage Collection and extremely faithful to the 1960 reference 7042, if not for a handset borrowed off another reference and the welcome addition of screwed down crowns, the Legend Diver has seen great success. Unlike Oris, Longines resisted the lure of multiplying the dial or size options. One reference only is what you get, and it is one that pleases even the most hardened watch collector. Yes, there was the rather unfortunate addition of a date window in 2014, but this made this original non-date model presented here even more desirable, fetching now second-hand prices over retail, which is a rare feat for a mid-tier brand. The historically correct 42mm case and sharp long angled lugs will overwhelm smaller wrists, but deliver dramatic presence. Even more so when you first see the watch in its gigantic presentation box, unnecessarily large and loaded with a manual the size of the Bible, but offering also a rather pleasant read with the Book of Exploits. It's not the sort of box you would want to grab at an airport and try to sneak in under your destination's customs nose. The whole super compressor style case is polished, has great heft, and even the case back with engraved Harpoon Diver logo is impressive. The overall feel of quality continues on the thick boxed sapphire crystal that offers some pleasant distortion of the dial. Both screwed down crowns have engraved square patterns, the bottom one operating the time adjustment with stop seconds and hand winding, the top one operating one of the highlight features of the watch, the inner dive bezel. I let you admire the choice of faux patina loom and fonts on the bezel and dial. The legibility and harmony of the whole is excellent. At night, the loom won't blind you, but is sufficiently legible even though it is applied to a very limited surface. The watch comes on a soft leather type strap on the underside with a type of sailcloth on the exterior, lined with color matching stitching. I find it very soft and comfortable, but expect to require a replacement every couple of years should you wear the watch every day. 22mm lug width is a crowd pleaser should you want to venture outside of the Longines replacement options. The buckle also stands out with the reprise of the winged logo of the dial and square patterns of the crowns. As part of the Swatch Group, Longines gets to use the ETA 2824 movement as base, which I believe is here regulated to 3 positions and sees some decoration work. The watch runs at the moment a few seconds behind and probably could use a service soon. I bought it used in Japan, full set, for a bargain $1,200 about a year ago. Overall, with its impressive 300 meters of water resistance, this is a very solid piece that manages to balance heritage and modern quality and would not look out of place next to more expensive watches in your collection. On to the Oris. Several years ago, images of the Diver 65 on Facebook spurred my interest into mechanical watches, but I somehow could never pick a favorite among the many dial options on offer. It's only with this Baselworld 2018 iteration that I found in mint condition for around $1,100 that the very popular Diver made it into my collection. Right off the bat, you can tell that this is not a tool watch to the extent of the Longines. Rather, it's a trendy, lightweight, well-sized, everyday sporty timepiece. At 40mm, this version will please most wrists. The discreet but practical date window keeps the symmetry of the dial intact, unlike the version with an oddly shaped date window at 3 o'clock. This adds to the near perfection of the dial execution, all in gold accents, reminiscent of the Tudor Black Bay 58 or the Seiko SLA 025 limited edition of 2018, from which this watch also seems to borrow the lovely handset. The case is thin and satin finished, quite vintage-like, in the style of skin divers. Speaking of which, Longines launched its own skin diver last year with an outer bezel this time, not quite as visually interesting as the LLD. Oris chose not to burden the watch with an oversized bezel, so what you lack in tactile satisfaction, you gain in style, especially on this, again very trendy, bronze execution. The caseback is a fairly muted affair. The sapphire crystal has a nice dome shape, and one will just regret the amount of reflection of the well-executed indices on the crystal. While the Longines doesn't suffer much from the absence of air coating, it would have been a nice feature on this Oris. Still, the overall presentation is incredibly pretty. The choice of hands and indices is spot on. The writing on the dial is as discreet as it is on its rival of the day. The lume is a more yellowish faux patina version that marries well with the bronze bezel and jet black dial color. At night, the application of lume is much more generous than on the Longines, and you have an interesting and original contrast between the soft lume on the indices and the brighter lume of the handset. The buckle is not much to talk about, and while I love the look of the rubber strap with steps extending along the flanks and a carbon fiber look on the exterior, I regret that despite many channels and punched holes to aerate the wrist and lock in the pin of the buckle, hours of wear tend to cause irritation from the heat trapped underneath. The 20mm lug width does make it a good candidate for strap replacement. The movement is an Oris reworked Celita SW200, which is a clone of the engine powering the Longines. Same 38-hour power reserve, 4 Hz beat rate, but it is noisier when shaken than the totally silent Legend Diver, due to the case construction probably. The winding of the crown is typically unpleasant for this type of movement, and I found the click into the quick set date position a bit imprecise. The movement does a job and is actually extremely accurate so far. The Oris retails at around $2,000 US, slightly less than the $2,300 of the Longines, and can be found on the grey market for $1,300, which is just a bit lower than the date version of the Longines. I remind you that the no-date version of the Legend Diver has been discontinued, unfortunately, and that they now exchange hand above retail, but then again, the next best alternative will cost you a lot more, as you'll probably need to look towards GLC's master compressor range. To conclude, if I had to pick just one, it would be the Longines. For the minor price difference at retail, grey market or on the second-hand market, at least for the date version, since this no date is a bit of a diva, it manages to remain a competent tool while being a stunning, comfortable and versatile everyday watch with a lot of presence. The remarkably handsome and well-executed Oris is a lightweight in comparison that does not exude the same gravitas on the wrist. But if you are after a well-proportioned, everyday, trendy watch that will look good on various strap options, it is a great purchase on the grey and second-hand market. That's it for now. Like the video if you found it helpful, subscribe if you care to see more, and I will speak to you in the next one. Take care, guys.